Just as an opening statement, it's the first game, and I always say in the first game you learn an awful lot about your football team. And I was really proud of the way this group of guys, really the way that they've come together. We've talked a lot in the off season about the number of additions that we made to this team and how we all needed to be on the same page, pulling the rope in the same direction. And I was really proud of the way they've come together, proud of the way that they competed, their effort, just all the intangible things that you talk about on game day. I couldn't be more proud of the effort they put forth. Unfortunately, as exciting as it was and as fun as it was, and a wave of emotions from being down to then being up to ending up losing the game and then having an opportunity at the end to win it, it certainly had a game and had a huge range of emotions in it. Really proud of the way the team came back from being down 14 points early. We started slow offensively. I think in our first 4 or 5 plays we had 2 turnovers. We were down 14-0, but nobody flinched, nobody panicked. They just kept playing the game. Ended up with a 34-14 lead, and then there in the fourth quarter, unfortunately, we stopped turning the ball over offensively, but unfortunately we had a breakdown on special teams that gave them a big play. 2 breakdowns on special teams with a 20-yard punt and a long kickoff return, which put them on a short field, and they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, and we just weren't able to overcome it at the end. And boy, I really felt like him missing that kick never even entered my mind, that was a possibility. I just have great confidence and trust in Jacob. When you look at the success that he's had, the accuracy that he has, that when we got the first down, the ball was on about the 30-yard line. We were in his range, and I felt really good about it. Just unfortunately a little bit of a low kick. We had a little bit of penetration, and they got a finger on it. But it doesn't diminish or take away from the excitement I have about this football team right now. As I always tell them, you have 24 hours to mourn and 24 hours to celebrate. I need to heed my own advice, because this one's going to be hard to get over, but we have to. We go back to practice today. We've got a great challenge, excited to have the opportunity to come home to Joe Ice Stadium and play our first game in 2021 in Joe Ice Stadium. So excited to see the student body, the home crowd, and have the opportunity to create some excitement and some energy in the Joe this weekend.
All right, Chris.
Hey, Coach, did this loss on Saturday perhaps frustrate you or hurt more than other losses in the past when you've held big leads and they've went away?
Yeah, it's never easy to lose a lead. Especially when you look at around the country. And I watched the same thing happen with Notre Dame, Florida State, who had an 18-point lead and ended up going into overtime. It happens. Momentum's a funny thing in this game, and this game definitely had its peaks and valleys. Unfortunately, at the end of the game, we were the valley. You would have loved to have rushed the field and celebrated a made field goal in the last play of the game as time expired, but it didn't work out that way. But that's no harder than we had a great opportunity to have a statement game against a Power 5 team. No different than when we were within a play at Arkansas, we were within a play at South Carolina, we were triple overtime at Kansas State. Doesn't hurt any more than those, but I guess the silver lining in this is the excitement and energy I have for this team. And if we can, make the same strides from week 1 to week 2, that everybody says that's when you make your most gains, then I'll be excited about this season. I hated the result, but I love the product. I love the way the players played. I thought the coaches did a great job with their game plans and putting this game together. It wasn't a game where we had first game, you worry about substitution penalties, you worry about 10 men on the field, running 12 men on the field in the special teams. We had 1 substitution penalty on a third down call, but other than that, I thought they really did a nice job. The coaches and the players of really just game day management. So I said at the beginning we're going to learn a lot about this football team. I liked what I learned about the football team. The result was not what we wanted, but I'm encouraged and excited about the 2021 season after watching what I did on Saturday.
Ken?
Coach, the poise, the moxie, the confidence that Austin Kendall brings to your offense, how big is that Obviously, it was big on Saturday, but how big is that for you guys going forward with such a leader, it feels like, at the quarterback position?
Well, I think you're hitting the nail on the head because he's certainly that. I think he was, even a couple of the players said to me, his poise and moxie in the huddle really kept them calm. And that's why I said we're down 14-0. I went over to talk to the offense, and it was like, ho-hum, we got this, coach. We're good. We're all right. We've made a couple mistakes, but we're going to be all right. Same thing towards when we had the lead. It was like, hey, let's not celebrate early. It's like, no, coach, we're in it. We just got to keep banging that rock. 60-minute game. And I think a lot of that comes from his leadership. One of the reasons that we went with Austin Kendall, and one of the reasons we made that decision was his pocket presence and just his maturity and how much college football he's been around and played. I know it's been a little while since he's been on the field, really 2 years since he's played, but I thought he did an unbelievable job. I thought he was as advertised. I mean, I said this before, you never really know what you have till you go out there on game day and see how they're going to perform when they're out there on the field. But he was not only as good as advertised, I think he was better than advertised, and I think he's only going to get better and better as he feels more comfortable with the weapons around him. Hopefully we can get some of these receivers back this week, but I think he's only going to get better and better as he feels more comfortable in the offense and more comfortable with the players around him.
Chris?
Hey, Coach, you mentioned the receivers. Now, actually, I was just going to ask about Isaiah Graham. What's his update? Will he be able to play on Saturday? And what exactly did he hurt last Saturday?
It's an ankle injury. I mean, the biggest concern was the potential of a break with the way that he really got spun around and kind of spiraled and turned his leg, and you worry about a spiral break going up one of the bones in the leg, which is a long recovery process without those being weight-bearing bones. But fortunately, nothing was broke, so it is an ankle injury. I don't know that he'll be back this week. I'm hoping, we've had Trey Harris played a very minimal role in our game Saturday, has had very little practice, really just came back last week on about Wednesday, had a couple days of practice, played a little bit, but we're hoping he's going to be more up to full speed this week. Looking to try and get Juwan Johnson back. He's another guy that was in our 2 deep early in camp, and he's been out with a knee that we're hopeful that he'll be back this week or next week. And then we're keeping our fingers crossed that IG's injury won't be as severe and that he can come back. But we'll learn more as we go through the week with swelling and how he's going to handle the injury.
Ben, go ahead.
Coach, we talked so much leading up to the season about you guys having 4 or 5 different options at running back. How difficult is that for you and your staff and Brock Hayes, the running backs coach, to balance getting those guys playing time, but also allow them to get in a groove back there for the snaps that they are in the game? Yeah,
I think, it's a good problem to have. It's a whole lot better than saying we don't have enough, to say that you have too many. But just like sometimes losing creates problems, so does winning. Having that much talent at one position sometimes can create a problem. But I think the key to it is just the character of the young men that are in the room and the attitude that they have. It's a very unselfish room. Nobody was in on Monday. I didn't get enough touches. How come I'm not playing more? I only got 12 plays. Well, when you're playing 4 running backs, you start playing, there's 50 plays when everybody just plays 12 plays. So I think we have some very talented players. When you talk about Greg and Marcus and Keon and Harlan, I think are very, very talented players. And I think as we continue to go, we're going to need them all. We're certainly going to need them all. And it was tough sledding against that defensive front that we talked about was their strength as a football team. We did not run the ball really well. When you look at the overall numbers, they look good because of Austin Kendall's 60-yard run on a short yardage situation where he pulled it. But I think we're going to need all 3 of them, and I think all 3 of them do a good job, and we want to keep them healthy. We want to roll them. We want to play all of them. This is not a thing where we're just going to have one back and ride him until he breaks. We're gonna ride all of them where they're all going to play. We just need to keep bringing them around. But I think it works because Brock's done a great job of handling the room, but really the unselfish nature of everybody in that room. You look at a guy like Keon Henry Brooks, who started at Vanderbilt last year, could be complaining I didn't get enough touches, and yet he's got a smile on his face. Coach, I just want to win, whatever we can do to win. And so I love the attitude of those young men that are in that room right now, and that's part of what's going to make it work and give us the opportunity to play a number of backs and continue to develop them all as this season goes along.
Stephen, go ahead.
Coach, I actually want to take you back to a Mississippi State game from 20 years ago when you were with your dad at South Carolina. What do you remember from that week or so of handling all the emotions and being told that you guys would be that first game following 9/11?
Wow, I remember it well. I mean, we were in the office getting ready for Bowling Green. Urban Meyer was at Bowling Green at the time, and we were in the building getting ready, doing our game preparations, when somebody came in and said that an airplane had hit the tower. And for the next 2 weeks, air was grounded. Everybody was down. But then when they said, we're going to have the opportunity to play, and it was the first game played because it was a Thursday night ESPN game. I remember we flew to Mississippi State. We flew in there on Wednesday and then went and played the game. They had an incredible pregame ceremony for everybody that had fallen in 9/11. The stadium was dead silent. It was almost eerie because it was a full house. But I certainly have a lot of memories of that weekend and that game.
What was it like, I guess, trying to balance the emotions when the game started? Because it turned out to be a pretty good game between a couple ranked teams.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard because obviously the entire country, I mean, everything got put on hold. It's kind of like, where were you the day JFK got shot? Where were you the day the airplanes hit the towers? I mean, those are landmark memories that you'll have in forever, and you remember where you were. You remember your emotions. I can remember sitting in that building being in shock, and then throwing on CNN or Fox News and sitting there and just being glued to the TV really for about a week of what had just transpired, that we had never seen anything like that. And so there were a lot of emotions going into the game. A lot of guys were worried about flying, being the first flight in the air, but getting there, and then like I said, the whole pregame ceremony things were real. I mean, it was very emotional for a lot of people, for a lot of players, but we had great games at that time. Jackie Sherrill was at Mississippi State. They had a great team. I remember Pig Prather and all those guys that they had over there on defense. They had a very talented football team, and it was a heck of a football game, but it was definitely an emotional game with everything that we had been through, everything the country had been through, and then to have college football start up again.
Go for it, Ben.
Coach, how excited are you to get back home, play in front of your home crowd these next 3 weeks with an opportunity to really get things going this week against Southeastern?
Well, 3 weeks at home I don't know that we've had that since I've been here, especially when you start talking this early in the season. So really excited to have the opportunity to come back home, excited to watch this team play another week, to see the growth that we can make as a football team, to see how we're going to handle this week of practice coming off a very difficult emotional loss, and can we put that behind us and get ready to play. We have a very talented team coming in here. I know some people may look at it and say it's an FCS opponent, but it's not your typical FCS opponent. Obviously, there's a lot of things that run into this game. I mean, when you start talking about a team that's in this state, when you start talking about the ties with many of our players, played with their players or played against their players or played in all-star games with their players, there's a geographical rivalry that goes along with this that is going to bring out the best in everybody. I look at this team, I believe they're ranked 13th in the country. They've gone from 15th to 13th. I know that Frank's cell phone's background, I know that he was here at Louisiana Tech, knows a lot about this. He's got 2 players on his team, 2 players on his staff, 2 coaches on his staff that both played here at Louisiana Tech. They've got a very, very talented football team. This is not going to be an easy game by any means, especially when you look at They have what's equivalent to the Heisman Trophy winner, the Walter Payton Award. Cole won the Walter Payton Award a year ago as the best player in FCS football. He's surrounded around some great weapons. Wide receiver, 4 returning offensive line. I think all 4 of them are first, second, or third team all conference. They've got 2 preseason all conference kickers and a kicker and a punter. They've got their defense is much improved from where it was a year ago. They've got a lot more size inside. They're doing a great job. It's going to be a great football game. I'm really looking forward to it, but even more so having the opportunity to come back at home. I mean, when you look at, we really haven't played in what we know as the Joe and the atmosphere created in Joe I Stadium by a full student section, by our fan base having the opportunity to come out. So this is a 3-game homestand. It's going to start with Southeastern and then with SMU and then with North Texas. So supposed to be a beautiful day, about 90 degrees probably at kickoff at 6 o'clock. It ought to be a great day for football. The sun will be down. So to the students and to the fan base, we encourage you to come out to the stadium this Saturday at 6 o'clock because it ought to be a great venue and obviously a great football game with 2 in-state teams.
Anything else for Scott? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank y'all very much. I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a great day. Thank you.